Okay, we're back to hell with Sydney Watson, and I had to do a reaction video on this one. Ricky Gervais has been warning us for years, and I bring him up plenty of times, not just with the Oscars, but with any of these award shows or red carpets where these certain celebrities want to do this, like, soapbox rhetoric, and it's so annoying and cringy, and not effective at all to whatever cause they're trying to promote. But I want to hear what Sydney has to say about this. But definitely follow her channel, like the video, follow me on my YouTube channel and Twitch, Talkative Carl, as I stream games, react to videos, and review content. I'm going to hop right into it with Sydney Watson.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? That's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that, just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
I feel like this used to be common knowledge. When did this stop being common knowledge? Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. Now get on my bus, baby birds, because we are taking a field trip out of hell to go and see things that don't make me want to throw myself into the sea. I am positive some of you are shocked and appalled to learn that I don't hate everything. I know, it's crazy. I do like some things. Sometimes. It's pretty obvious that I spend a lot of time on this channel bashing celebrities and actors and actresses for all sorts of reasons that I think are pretty legitimate. But today, I want to talk about somebody that I actually like, that being British comedian Ricky Gervais, whose name I have been mispronouncing all this time. Who would have thought? If he were only known for being the creator of The Office, a British show that would become a legendary sitcom in the United States, that would be enough for him to be loved, but Gervais is so much more. He's not only written, produced, and acted in several other shows and films, along with a very successful stand-up career, but he's also a reasonably unassuming sort of guy, one who has risen to monumental heights just by not really caring what anyone else thinks of him. I love a man who calls it like it is. And in a day and age—
We need to put like Ricky Gervais on the same list of reasonable, upstanding celebrities out there in the world, like Sydney Sweeney, Keanu Reeves, Henry Cavill, Michael B. Jordan, even like someone like Denzel Washington or Morgan Freeman. Just reasonable, even kill celebrities that don't go on the soapbox and don't like do the generic stuff like you saw with like Billie Eilish or Mark Ruffalo do. It's just like it's great that you're famous for and rich for doing what you're talented at, but like you gotta understand that you have risen to a point where you are not in a position to like he, as he puts it, lecture nobody. You're in a privileged position. Sure, you can donate, do all this stuff, but you don't need to make a whole show of it. Just like Henry Cavill does. Just like, I'm pretty sure he does some charity work, but he just likes to, when he's not working, fix his PC, grill, and play Witcher and Warhammer. Pretty much minding his business. Just being a genuine person. That's what we need more of.
Age where everyone cares deeply about the opinions of others, Ricky Gervais' attitude is sort of inspiring. But although his personality and his impact on the entertainment space is so very obvious and undeniable, that's not even what Ricky Gervais is ultimately known for. No, our boy Ricky is best known for ripping back the veil on the hypocrisy of Hollywood, cancel culture, and basically not giving a single solitary capital F if people like him or not. And I think that's sort of what makes him so beloved.
I don't care anymore. I'm joking. I never did.
I think what makes Ricky Gervais so important in a cultural sense is the fact that he has risen basically to the top of Hollywood. He's like right up there. And he is effectively governed by nothing and no one, which probably makes him quite scary to these people. It also uniquely positions him to be able to call out those around him while also simultaneously being completely uncancelable. Hello children, editing Sydney from the future here. I think I was trying to say uncancelable in this moment because uncancelable, or whatever the heck I just said, is obviously not a word. I don't know why language eluded me in this moment, but that's what I meant. So just wanted to clarify. Let's continue. And he knows it.
Do you think you'll never be cancelled then because you'll never sign up to the rules of being cancelled?
That's right.
To be cancelled, you have to almost consent to rules that aren't tangible.
That's exactly right. We've got to work for someone who can cancel you, you know, because I don't know what me being cancelled is. You know, I'm not invited where? Where am I not invited?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know. I think you've got to actually do something criminal to actually be cancelled.
For the longest time, it's kind of hard to pin down how long this has been happening, but I'm going to say that for at least the last decade, he has repeatedly highlighted how the current oversensitivity to everything threatens not only comedy's core freedom to provoke and offend, but also our general social cohesion. And he's one of the only people in Hollywood actually prepared to call a spade a spade. Except Bill Maher, in a lot of ways, weirdly enough. He can stay too. I think one of my favorite groups of people are these disaffected liberal types.
Because, like Ricky Gervais, Bill Maher don't hesitate to point out, you know, the faults of right or left. I mean, like me, he grew up like, you know, Democrat, but, you know, he, as he puts it, he's not the one that changed. The party has changed. Or you let certain people into that party that shouldn't be there pretty much take over and dictate what is nonsensical and claim it as progressive. Like, you know, the old like gender identity crap, or you know, transing your children because they're 8 years old and they feel like a girl, and it's like you don't understand what any of that means. You're not any of that stuff. It's just like he points it out and how stupid it is. It's completely stupid, and it's under the guise of progressiveness. It's so dumb. But he goes out of his way to actually talk with President Trump, not to just lob accusations and just hate him just for the sake of hating him, and actually points out anything that he actually does legitimately good. He wants to be fair about it. And I applaud him for that. But instead of like most other these like woke liberal celebrities, they just got this complete hate boner of the guy. I mean, even like, as much as like kind of crap on the Kardashians, at least, you know, they're willing to go talk with them in terms of prison reform. At least give Kim Kardashian credit for that. Unlike these other celebrities who won't even bother to just have like a decent conversation with the guy. Well, like worrying about other celebrities. Oh my God, how dare you must agree with everything he does. No, you don't agree with everything he does, but he's still a human being. You can actually talk with the guy. You might be surprised at what you might agree with or what you might get him to understand if you don't just attack. Talk with the man. Is like, why you gotta be so weird?
That have a lot of ordinarily left-wing opinions, but they're just so sick of their own ilk that they want to distance themselves as much as possible, and they spend all their time being like, are you guys okay? No, Bill. No, Ricky. No, they're not. Now, Gervais is, for all intents and purposes, a member of the Hollywood elite himself. He is one of the most popular creators and comedians. He wins awards and hosts award shows and rubs elbows with the pretty people on the reg. I mean, the guy just recently got his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and if that doesn't say that Hollywood begrudgingly accepts him, I don't know what will. Yet, if Hollywood were a high school, and it sometimes behaves like one, I don't know why I'm saying sometimes, it mostly behaves like one. Gervais is the angry guy smoking cigarettes under the bleachers because he's beyond annoyed with the ridiculousness of his classmates. And so, on so many different occasions over the years, Gervais has called out his peers for their elitist and ignorant—
I miss Rebel Wilson when she was big. I don't know why. She seemed normal then, and now she's kind of like, not weird, but
behavior. And he's been telling them to shut up and warning the rest of us not to listen to them for years. Because, as you guys may have noticed, particularly in the last little while, we have celebrities coming out of the woodwork to tell us all of their very nuanced political opinions on all sorts of issues. Because apparently we are asking them for this. Who is asking them for this?
This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. You know,
they should take the advice of Denzel Washington, who told Michael B. Jordan, you're pretty much, I won't say like a Greek god, but he put it he framed it in a way kind of like you're like on the upper echelon tier of humanity right now. Not like you're above everything, but it's just like you are in a different bracket than most other people. They don't need to know. You need to keep that air of mystery. Nobody need to know your political opinions. Nobody need to know like your takes on the current state of the world or whatever. Keep that air of mystery. It's kind of like the same way with Jack Nicholson. You don't know anything about this guy's personal life outside of him liking to go into Lakers games. That should have been like the standard for a lot of these celebrities. Now, of course, they can choose their own way of leading their lives, and they can have their own opinions, and they can voice it all day long. But it's just, you can't escape that air of like ewiness coming from them. And like you would think, you know, Exposito over here in the same like age group as Denzel Washington, you would think he will have that similar mindset as him and Jack Nicholson.
Very rich old white men are exerting their power to suppress our own people.
So this is for her. This is for.
Like, you know, I was like, who is these people that are suppressing you? You are like one of the most beloved, famous people on the planet. You're beloved. Who's suppressing you? Who's suppressing, like, you know, any of the people of color in this arena? Like what? Like, I respect him as a celebrity, as an actor. He's phenomenal in everything he touches. But my goodness, it's like they actually are reading the script in a way. It's kind of weird.
The people in the United States who are terrorized and scared today. I know I'm one of them.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Oh, really? Anything else? What's that you say? This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Nobody wants to be spied on while they're browsing on public Wi-Fi. Nobody, I imagine, wants to be stalked by their Mr. FBI man, even if he's very charming. Nobody especially wants to find themselves blocked from specific websites or unable. The most famous of these instances where Gervais gunned for these people was the 2020 Golden Globe speech, where he rightly called out the insane hypocrisy of the people in the room. Commenting on how they preach one thing while employing sweatshops and working with companies with no ethical standards, he ultimately ended his monologue with the following statement.
If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay?
It's so funny because the energy...
like, you know, everybody got this... Like, except for a few people like Adam Driver, everybody's got this little sullen, sucking face look on their face, and it's like, oh my god, how dare he? And while you see like Adam Driver just cheesing, like he understood, because I think Adam Driver, if I'm wrong, was in the military, so I guess he would, like, you can assume, but you know. Or I won't say assume, but you can definitely guess what his political leanings is. But you don't know for certain because he keeps that crap to himself. He doesn't go on these little soapboxes. He just goes in, clocks in for acting work, and then once he's done, he goes back to his life. That's it. That's how it should be. We don't need to know anything, but I can tell from the face, from that moment in that crowd, he understood, and he's kind of locked in. Like he sees Ricky, and he understands inherently because he knows that it's complete, because it all is nonsensical. Because he knows the game. It's all ridiculous. It's like, you know, the celebrity is no different than the court gesture. To put a fine point on it, celebrities, comedians are just court gestures. We're there to entertain. You don't go to the court gesture for his advice on the political landscape of the kingdom. He isn't in the position to tell you what taxes that need to be dispensed out into the kingdom for the court. He doesn't know. He ain't in a position to know. We don't go to him for that kind of stuff. So by the same criteria, it's like we don't need to go to Mark Ruffalo or Juan Carlo Esposito for political takes on current state of the world. They can have their opinion, but then you lecturing the crowd, what's that doing?
The vibe of this monologue is so different to the ones that he'd done in years gone by, because if you guys can remember, if you can cast your minds back, 2020 was really when the wokeness and the progressivism was just strangling culture. It was so ingrained in culture. And I feel like Ricky Gervais is all of us here just being like, I need you guys to shut up. In this moment, we are all Ricky Gervais. It makes me feel physically ill to think about the fact that 2020 was 6 years ago. I feel like a bunch of years just got deleted from my memory. How are we here right now? This was a moment that broke the internet because Gervais was articulating many of the things that regular people think on a daily basis. But more than that, he was confirming it out loud in 4K. And every single time since a celebrity has given a political speech, this Gervais clip is almost always brought up in response, because it's as true now as it was then. These people consistently pretend like they're the ones in the Hunger Games, but they're actually the people in the Capitol. I can't take credit for that joke because actually one of you guys left that in a comment on one of my videos, but I couldn't find the comment because I couldn't remember which video it was. But thank you for that, and thank you for your contribution to this video. I also think this moment lives rent-free in the heads of so many celebrities, and Gervais going after them for years and years lives rent-free in their heads because they so clearly do not take being told to shut up and sit down and be quiet very well at all. And for some reason, that brings me a lot of joy.
What do you say to people like Ricky Gervais and Kevin O'Leary who say Hollywood shouldn't be...
It's the functional... The reason they don't like it, because it's the functional equivalent of telling them to shut up and dribble. As much as it might sting, it is true. Shut up and act. Sorry. It might suck to hear. It might hurt your little feelings for a bit, but in the long run, it probably will do you good.
Speaking out.
Shut the f*** up. Shut the f*** up. Ricky Gervais and Kevin O'Leary. Shut the f*** up. I can say what I want.
He's trying to save you from yourselves. I don't understand what the problem is. This woman is probably someone's sleep paralysis demon. I am also very upset to admit that I'm at the point in age where I don't know who the hell this is. Who are you? Why are you famous? But with this said, Ricky Gervais has absolutely not stopped his assault on all of these clowns. Even recently, with relation to celebrities popping off about ICE.
Honestly, if it wasn't for something like TMZ, which only watch occasionally, I wouldn't know most of these new celebrities like that. I probably wouldn't even know who Kai Cenat is, or even Billie Eilish. It's like in terms of a music, I felt like I reached a cutoff point of new artists that I'm willing to consume.
Gervais offered them the best advice that he possibly could in the situation, telling them to once again shut up. In this post, he shared a photo of his own quote from the Golden Globes and wrote, "They're still not listening." Yeah, Ricky, they're not, because they need to keep preaching to the rest of us from the top of Mount Bullshit. Actually, on this point, in earlier 2025, Gervais tweeted as if he was once again hosting the Golden Globes, something he actually did for years and years before his blow-up at Hollywood in 2020. In these tweets, he took aim at a bunch of people in Hollywood, but the ones that I found notable was him calling out Hollywood's PDF file ring, if you know what I mean, and Diddy being a predator. He went after sexual abusers in Hollywood and basically them turning a blind eye to it again at the end of 2025 during his ceremony at the Hollywood Walk of Fame. My God, this guy's timing.
Thank you so much for this honour. It's a genuine thrill to be part of such an exclusive club. And just looking around earlier at all the other stars, absolute icons, Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby, Fatty Arbuckle.
For those of you who don't know the context of this joke, all of these men were accused of sexual harassment or sexual assault, and I am pretty sure that Bill Cosby actually went to prison for this. You guys will have to correct me in the comments. And I know there are going to be some of you who say that Michael Jackson was unfairly targeted with these accusations. I don't know enough about that to comment, but there you go, that's the context. Regardless, I interpret this as Ricky Gervais.
But at the same time, even though there was no criminal punishment in terms of Michael Jackson, it was still freaking weird you sleeping in the same bed as children. That is very bizarre, at the very least. But I didn't know anything about Fatty Arbuckle. I didn't know he had, like, accusations back in the day. Oh my
He's
God.
basically saying, so good, Hollywood. I'm so glad that you revere people who sexually assault other people. Good stuff. Good job. Kind of puts his Harvey Weinstein jokes also into perspective.
Last one. Come on, guys. Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein. You did it. I didn't. You did it. Shut the fuck up.
What I find really interesting is that Gervais said during an interview that he doesn't call out celebrities for things they can't change, like their appearance, say, but rather for things that they've done, which I think drives home the point that his digs at them are about their behavior they can actually change, behavior that they know is wrong, but choose to perpetrate anyway.
You've done the Golden Globes before, and you can be quite edgy. And the celebrities, do you think the celebrities out there are nervous? They're nervous about they're going to be sitting there. What will Ricky say about us?
I think so. No one wants to be the butt of a joke, but I'm not going to go out. I'm not trying to ruin their night. I'm making jokes, and also I do it about things they've done, not about things they can't help. So I think I'm fair. Do you know? I know, yes. But you know what I mean.
No. You're not making fun of a way they look or how they were.
I wouldn't come out and go, oh look, it's a ginger Frankenstein.
What's interesting as well is that the eventual host of the 2025 Golden Globes, Nikki Glasser, actually referenced Gervais in her own monologue, joking about not going so hard at the audience that they'll be offended. But that's just it, isn't it? People love to act like Ricky Gervais is going out of his way to be offensive and unkind and mock people for the sake of mocking them, to offend them for the sake of offending them. But in actuality, he's just pointing out who and what people are in a truthful way that is observable to the rest of us.
And that's what a comedian is supposed to do. They're supposed to let you think, push certain lines. They're not doing it for the sake of it. It's like it just seems like they lost the plot, and that's why you get ever since then. Well, technically, maybe ever since the whole Chris Rock situation, but ever since then, they've been like hiring very milquetoast comedians that buys in the same rhetoric as them, or they won't, at the very least, like they do softball jokes, and that's probably one of the reasons why these like award shows have become so lame and unwatchable, because there's no like originality, there's no poking fun at the people in the room. It's like, I think it was Ricky Gervais who pointed out, like, for most of the time out of the year, you're like up here, but like for 3 hours of tonight, let the peasants make fun of you guys. I'm butchering it, but I'm pretty sure it was Ricky Gervais who made that joke. And it's like, yeah, you're like, the world is at your feet for most of the time out of the year. For 3 hours out of the night, for these little shows, let the peasants make fun of you. It's like, but you're also doggone sensitive. Like, you think you're above it all. You think you're the men or women or the people, and you're not. You haven't been that way for a very, very, very long time, and you end up forgetting. I hesitate to say like forgetting your roots, but like for the lack of a better word, you forgot your roots. And you've been famous for such a long time. You think like any attack, against like you taking this personally. So it's like Ricky was right. Bill Maher was right. And y'all just can't hack it.
And of course, he's doing it through the lens of comedy. Actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, this is probably why so many celebrities rail against and have leaned into basically outlawing observational comedy, and why they are stuck in this, no, you can't say the pointy words mental philosophy, because Comedy really is one of the best ways of uncovering and articulating inconvenient and uncomfortable truths. This is probably why Gervais has repeatedly condemned cancel culture and the mob mentality that governs modern comedy, because without comedy, we have nothing.
Free speech is the most important human right there is. It's the right from which all other rights come. Without free speech, you can't have human rights. And people shut you up because they don't like what you're saying, and that's always suspicious.
I think it's worth understanding that Ricky Gervais doesn't attack things that people consider untouchable to watch them clutch their pearls or for shock value. He does it because, like any good comedian, he sees the ridiculousness in both pretending to be something you're not and taking things too seriously. The things we're not supposed to laugh at are things that Gervais wants to make jokes about.
If someone doesn't want you to say something for any reason, I go, well, I think I've got to say that then. I think I'll have a go.
Yeah.
It's like do not press this button. You've got to press the button.
Yeah.
Always press the button.
Good. Like I told all of you, this guy just doesn't care. Where other people are running away from the button, Ricky Gervais is like, give it to me, let me press it. I'm sure many of you too have seen those mock underground subway, oh god, what do they call the London thing? Tube. The Tube posters that Ricky Gervais has posted as part of promotional material for his vodka brand. The one that popped off the most that I saw a ton online, it says, "Welcome to London. Don't forget your stab vest," which probably hits a little bit too close to home for a ton of people in the UK right now. This obviously made people go insane. But why? Because it's truth couched with humor? Or recently there was a big discussion happening online about Islam and dogs, which...
It's like morbid humor. It's our humor is the best defense against the morbid parts of life. We tend to it's like it helps us get over certain things because we don't want to live in like a sad world. It's like comedy helps us get over the certain atrocities and morbidness of life. There's plenty of comedians, usually Jewish ones, who can make a joke about the Holocaust, the most horrific moment in our history, and they can easily write off. I'm pretty sure you give somebody a Holocaust joke to somebody like Jerry Seinfeld, he can give you, or even Billy Crystal, they can like give you like a good 3 jokes right off the top of their head and astoundingly funny, and that's them not even trying because they're great comedians. But nowadays everybody's so oh my god, you can't do that. It's like, think about how this might be hurt the Jewish community and everything like that. It's like, oh my god, it's like, get a life, buy a sense of humor. It's like you got to be able to laugh at yourselves. That's the key thing.
I'm not going to get into because it's honestly way too hard to explain. Hopefully the headline that I've put on the screen right now gives you some sort of indication. But the bottom line here was that people were offended that dogs would be kept outside to appease this religion rather than, having...
Making sure,
dogs live inside as we normally would. In response to this, Gervais weighed in, both tweeting a photo with his dog, or with a dog, and posting another mock underground poster that said, "If you don't like dogs, you can F off." It was actually him posting that first dog image that made me want to make this video, because in that moment when I first saw it, I just thought, this guy really does not care, and honestly, that is a vibe that I would love to emulate. He also has a tendency to say the things that many of us are thinking. But in the year of our Lord 2026, people really struggle still with the idea of being offended and hearing things you might not like and getting upset over pointy words, and how that doesn't change that people should still be able to say what they want to say. But as Ricky Gervais has been saying all this time, this is an absurd way to live, and simply because you're offended, that doesn't mean you're right.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? So you can't second guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. People come up and they say, "I was offended by that joke." And, my first reaction is, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything. You're telling me how you feel. What I want to say, why? And I'll explain to them. I'm willing to explain to them why the joke isn't offensive. I'm not one of the people that think, I'm going to say what I want, I'm going to be as offensive, and then go, fuck you, as a joke. I'm willing to explain why it's not offensive. That often offence comes when people mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target, and they're not necessarily the same. Particularly if you deal in taboo subjects, which I do, because I want to go there, because I want to take the audience by the hand and take them through a scary forest. Do you know what I mean? I like the discomfort of expressing and talking about really uncomfortable things.
Pushing the envelope is why Ricky Gervais has given us so much comedy.
That is like a good analogy. The comedian supposed to, or even a celebrity, is supposed to grab you by the hand and take you through the scary forest. You'll come out on the other side okay.
That strikes right at the heart of woke culture and cancel culture. And frankly, he was doing this while other comedians were shying away from the conflict.
We're coming out of a phase now that feels like a bit of sunlight. It's been weird for the last 10 years as a comedian, going, will that get me cancelled? Can I say that? Is that okay now? Do people know I'm oh God, things are changing. That thing I said a year ago, will that be? And now I think we're coming out of that because I think they pushed too hard and now people are over it. So
yes.
They complained about things that didn't deserve being complained about. And I've thought about this as well, like 20 years ago when I started, if I got a nice email from someone saying, oh, I didn't appreciate that, I'd look into it. I'd go, oh, why didn't you like it? Now someone says, I'm offended. I go, yeah, I know, we all are.
Yeah, it's kind of like bringing up old tweets, like with like James Gunn, like, you know, him getting in trouble over something that was perfectly normal and was the landscape of 10 or 11 years ago. But now, or at least, you know, before DC or Warner Bros. Brought him on to run the DC universe, he was like, oh my God, it's like, how dare he make these horrible jokes. I don't even know what even the joke was about. I think it was like about a baby or something like that. I don't know. But it was like an old, crude joke that probably wasn't all that doggone funny, but he was allowed to make it because it's one of those shock humor kind of things. That somebody like, what was that, Shock Jock, the famous one? Crap, what was the famous Shock Jock guy? I'm blanking on his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. What is this? Howard Stern. There it is. Like Howard Stern. I'm blanking on his dog. It's kind of like Howard Stern. It's like, you know, with people were allowed to say certain things or say certain jokes, and people in general understood the context, knowing that they weren't being offensive for the sake of it. It's like they weren't being offensive at all. They were telling a story or, you know, forming a joke. Maybe it won't land, but you understand that it's not something that you need to take all that doggone serious.
Don't worry about it.
In an August 2020 interview with Metro, he said that it's everyone's right to not watch.
I don't consider Quentin Tarantino racist because he actually wrote or even said the N-word in his films. Because I understood, even as a child, understood the context. Now, that was probably the first time I've seen on film as a child a white person actually saying the N-word, but I wasn't making a big stink out of it because I understood I'm watching a movie. I know realistically no white person would dare actually say it in like a serious matter towards a person of color in public without somebody punching that person in the face. It's all about the whole context of it all. Nobody's going around wanting to boycott Quentin Tarantino because he dares putting the N-word in films for white people to say. Just for the for the sake of it, because he think he could, and nobody's gonna call him out on it. It's just weird how people react to
a comedian
things.
If you don't like them. But trying to get someone fired because you don't like their opinion is basically insane. And Gervais has repeatedly articulated his thoughts on this, arguing that the fear of offense basically stifles creativity when it comes to comedy. He has suggested that his landmark show, The Office, as well as others, would have faced insurmountable hurdles today due to the outrage mobs who take things out of context. And honestly, he's not wrong. Comedy that Gervais has done himself in recent years has gone viral for both good and bad reasons. But him calling out the absurdity of the the modern trans movement has resulted him being labelled a transphobe, among other things. Not that he cares, of course. He said what he said.
Women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. Those fucking dinosaurs. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and cocks. They're as good as...
True. Who would want the old version of us women when you can have the new and improved versions? The ones that come with extra parts. Just trading out wombs for a peanut. Although I do keep reading there is some significant effort being put forward to do uterus transplants, and I think people forget that babies still need to be delivered. Where are they going to come out? Your butthole? Look, I think comedy, in the view of Ricky Gervais, serves as a vital social tool for confronting differences in race and sex and politics without meaning to do any actual harm. When this is sanitized, it becomes bland and ineffective. And the sacred cows, the ideas and people we aren't supposed to criticize or mock, are known to exert insane amounts of power and influence over people because of this absence of mockery, I would say. I mean, how else do you convince an entire population to go along with drag for kids or men competing alongside women in sports? So when people like Ricky Gervais come along and rip the virtue signalers to shreds, it makes the social burdens we put on ourselves a little bit lighter. And this used to be the purpose of comedy. It's not...
Ask certain celebrities, I'm pretty sure Bill Maher even bring it up. Ask certain celebrities, is it, okay for men to compete in women's sports? Watch them glitch out. Because they struggle trying to make sure they say the right thing because they don't want to lose any opportunities, worry about getting canceled or boycotted or Twitter coming after them, instead of just saying what we all know the answer is. We all know the answer is. It's like struggling to give, ask, what's 2 + 2, and you don't want to worry about offending other numbers. It's well, we all can be... certain things, and it's like, God, just say it's 4. We all know the answer to that. You're so freaking afraid because you're trying to say all the political right things because you want to be in this little club and you want to make sure you get more work, so you'll say whatever, knowing full well it's all dumb deep down.
Not always polite, but I do think it's necessary, especially when you consider just how much our speech and actions and whatnot are controlled by small groups of people with specific agendas and even corporations and politicians and whatnot. That's part of why I think Ricky Gervais is so important. He's sort of like a doctor of civilization. He comes in with his comedy penicillin and injects it into culture, and then people give him shiny awards for doing that. He's helping with the infection that is progressivism by making it collectively cry and hopefully go back into its cave. But none of this is to say that this is a person who is incapable of taking things seriously. One of my favorite things about Ricky Gervais is that he demonstrates what can be produced when someone isn't afraid of offending people and saying everything right all of the time. His Netflix comedy specials are irreverent and funny and offensive, depending on who you are, because they go to places that we're not allowed to joke about anymore. But beyond how successful these specials have been, these stand-up specials have been, he has this show called Afterlife, and it is one of the better things that Netflix has actually produced, because Gervais took the topic of death and grief and built something meaningful around it. The show centers around a man who lost his wife to cancer and is so devastated that he is prepared to end it all, but he's ultimately kept alive by the love for and of his dog. Like his dog loves him. Who cares for him in turn? The dog and its unconditional love are part of the true heroes of the show, but it also delves into how he navigates the grief and how he meets other people in this journey that he's on. This actually sort of explains his response to Islamists talking about making dogs illegal. I get it now, Ricky. I get it. Afterlife is quite honestly better than anything most of these crybaby celebrities have put out in recent years because it touches on a subject that actually affects us all, but not in a way that feels inauthentic and lame, in a way that's relatable and funny. And yeah, I don't know, if you haven't seen it, you absolutely should watch it. I think it handles this topic in a way that's both funny and tragic and relatable. And to be fair, he did warn us that we would see a drop-off in decent entertainment being produced if progressivism started to stifle people and what they could and couldn't create. And I think he was pretty right about that. Like I mentioned, Ricky Gervais is honestly a bit of a badass because he just doesn't care if he's liked, he doesn't care if he offends anybody, and he doesn't really seem to be afraid of anything. And as Gervais has said himself, offending people is sometimes a good thing because it makes them think.
I mean, the important thing for me is that no one has to laugh. In fact, I embrace the gasps as much as the laughs. because that means they were listening.
And one thing he definitely doesn't believe is that everyone else should shut up because you might take offense.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like?
I think the magic of someone like Ricky Gervais is that he knows he's going to make people mad with the things that he says, but he ultimately isn't worried about backlash because as long as he tells the truth on a long enough timeline, he'll ultimately be proven right. And again, to reiterate, the purpose here isn't to make people mad or to offend them. I'm sure the shock is fun, but I'm also sure that's probably not the end game. It's more about conscious thought and actual engagement from the listener. By the listener. For me personally, I think one of the reasons why Ricky Gervais is so well liked and also so well disliked by certain groups of people and people with certain opinions and belief systems is because he's very willing to call it like it is. And in our current cultural environment, in the current culture that we've cultivated, this is something that is very lacking and has been lacking in recent times. And I think on top of that, this is a person who is completely fine potentially sacrificing his position and what he has in order to call out those around him and expose their insane and grotesque behavior. So in the end, I do think that we will see in short order comedy basically being made great again and an end to the hypersensitivity around it, or at least people won't mind so much being offended or hearing things that they don't like. But I do think that it's worth noting and worth saying that Ricky Gervais has been leading that charge and trying to make this happen for years. Now on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out Surfshark using the link in the description. I have never used another.
Yeah, man. Right on the money. I like Ricky Gervais. Brilliant comedian. Brilliant. And honestly, I hope that changes. I think we starting to see like a level of change fairly recently, especially with like I just reacted to the new Scary Movie trailer today, which is up on my YouTube channel, so you can check out my reaction and thoughts. That it's like clearly offending everybody, just like with South Park. You know, just like everybody gets a turn. Like if you feel, or even like the 2025 Naked Gun. If you feel a certain type of way, keep it to yourself. We all want to laugh. Whereas like Republicans can laugh at themselves, transgenders can laugh at themselves, black people can laugh at themselves, white people can laugh at themselves, like gay people can laugh at themselves. Everybody gets made fun of. We all share it. That's how comedy needs to work. Damn progressiveness. Damn it. Because you took something that was initially a good thing, but then you let certain bad faith individuals co-opt it and corrupt it. Now everybody's pretty much sick of it. And they got nobody to blame but themselves. And certain celebrities who egging it on. They can share some of that blame too. Same people that Ricky Gervais pointed out their hypocrisy. Those same people. But anyway, what do you all think? Cause man, tell me, like, do you agree with Ricky Gervais? What was your favorite Ricky Gervais comedy skit? Favorite moment of The Office of his? And I will see you guys for the next one. Take care.